when we last left our heroes, we had um, taken out a slaver encampment, and captured the slaver, and gotten a hint that one of the slaves might be more than he seems. Do we want to go through characters and goals?
Sure.
Let's do it. Not all at once now.
I
I
am
guess
playing
I'll-
Harmon Tordero. I'm a donkey soldier. My personality is mercurial. My motto is, you need to know that you're in for the fight of your life, and my current goal is to get my patron's money back to him.
All right.
I'm playing Lady Maxima Josephine Vivian Rinaldi I, or just plain Max. I am a Grey Fox outlaw, and my motto is "Don't worry, you'll remember me." And I have the goals to make friends with someone, capture the slaver, and deliver him to the bounty. And that's it for now.
All right.
I'm playing Dr. Caesar the Small, a Raven Elementalist. His motto is that I have a cure for all ailments, and today he's still working on getting his patron's money back.
I have Clunabold Kemp, whose motto is, if you haven't prepared for failure, haven't prepared for anything at all. Who is just have the goal of getting his client's money back.
I'm
All
playing. Oh, sorry. I'm playing Neferu, the hyena warlord from Akoma. Her personality is overconfident, and her motto is deeds, not words. And she's currently working on getting her employer's money back to him.
All right. So, specifically, that's about back at you were initially assigned to protect a shipment from Harrowsgate to Tristellian and bring the money back. But there was a little liquid currency issue. Your client could not pay you in anything other than IOU, which will not do for your deal. The problem should resolve itself in time, but you have to figure out what to do until then. You did receive a you looked for possible work. There were a couple of casters that were making waves, plus the slaver that you ended up going after. Is there anything I'm missing?
Not really.
Sounds about right.
I think right now we were deciding whether or not we were going to turn the slaver in or free him so that he gives us the name of the warlock who had either done this to our new friend or had wanted our friend for some reason.
Yep.
They wanted our friend.
We pick up with the argument in progress.
And I think we were coming to a vote last time, weren't we?
Yes, because we specifically stopped so that Max could say her ideas.
Also, the whole thing was being an hour over time.
So, are we interrogating this guy or what?
He's tied up as far as I remember. Because I asked him, I hog-tied him, and as far as I know, I'm carrying him.
Right, and he's offered to give us information if we free him.
Yes.
So who's voting for what then?
I would like to know the name of this warlock, because I believe it might be worth quite a bit more money. I can't remember what information was said last time to that effect, but that's my stance.
My stance is we don't free him. He is a slaver. Who's kidnapping people.
I'm of the opinion we make sure his information is accurate before we free him. Because he has made it clear that this warlock is willing to pay significantly more any bounty on this guy's head to get this strange slave of his.
It helps that slavery is legal.
Kidnapping people off the road and the forest, not so much.
I mean,
He's not
whose
innocent.
laws?
Can we just find
Oh,
a
nobody's
thaumaturgist
innocent.
to read his mind or whatever?
That might require a different sort of magic than I think any of us have.
Also money.
Also, the guy seems a little bit broken up in the head. Not sure what we'd get from that would be very useful or not.
Hell, we could just torture him instead.
That doesn't sound very charitable, honestly.
Oh, you mean the slaver?
Also, it doesn't work.
Yeah, okay.
Torture doesn't work.
If we do decide to turn him in, know that it will be up to my care of my new patient to determine any sort of information, and that might not be accurate or even known. So that is the gamble being taken if we wish to pursue this.
Or we can turn him in and let local authorities deal with that.
I'm not sure there's much they could go on if we just went and told them, oh yes, there happens to be a warlock in the area who has a lot of money and is interested in people manipulated by dark magic. Yes, get right on that, would you?
I don't think it's as crazy as you think it seems to be. Warlocks are also a profession that people dabble in, just like saying a wizard exists. Wizards exist.
Right, and I'm saying
you're-
it's a little bit more of a subtle investigation.
I mean, you've got a warlock right in your party.
You say it's subtle, but witch hunter is also a profession.
What I'm saying is it's no matter of which we would simply go and tell the authorities and assume that they will handle everything involved.
It seems to me that
Not to
you
mention,
think
it's more in our interest to get the money instead.
you are above the law. Anyways,
Buddy.
Whose laws?
anyway, what were you saying, Alto?
Well, I was just gonna say, I think it's just more of a matter of the money here. Trying to make this whole legal, moral argument, but really, I could get a ton of money from this warlock and just figure out who they are. And we've got this nice, very expensive prisoner here. We have no reason to believe this warlock isn't going to help this poor man.
Remind me one more time, Alto, what is your character's name again?
Quinibald Kemp.
And what do we call you for short? Kemp?
What do you call me for short?
I don't know. What would you imagine as the short version of your name?
K-bro.
What?
Call me Ishmael.
What's your last name?
Kemp.
Kemp? Kemp. Alright, I'm calling you Kemp. Alright. I'll like heavy sigh. Harmond is gonna look over at you, Kemp, and you say it's more about the money and all. And he's just gonna drop the guy, because he's hogtied, he's not going anywhere. And I'm gonna pull out my long sword, and I'll push it up to his neck, and I'm gonna say, you tell me now what the warlock's name is, no more negotiations, or you're not going back to anywhere.
Well, that's an intimidate thing, right? A scare or...
I mean, if you
You
want
can
me
use
to be...
presence.
Yeah, I don't have presence, but if you want me to try to intimidate, then sure.
I have presence. Would you like the fair to take over?
I mean, if you want to say the words, then sure. My intent is just to simply be speaking the truth. If you don't tell me, I will kill you. That is true. That's not an intimidation. But I guess it's still seeing if it's true or a fake or not is still intimidating.
True.
You Calabries, you are made soft by civilization. I don't think you'll do it.
Oh boy.
Well, before someone happens to get their murder on here, perhaps we should take a quick vote on the fate first. I'm pretty sure killing him will net
And the
us
slaver just
neither.
smirks at this.
I'm fairly certain murder will get us neither option.
Wait,
So,
real quick, out of character sideline. There was a bounty notice, right?
Yeah, private bounty.
But was it alive or dead, or either? Somebody read it. I know one of you, like, the 2 or 3 people in here that are literate read it, so they would know.
whatever I read, I'm going to tell you. Oh yes, it definitely said to bring him alive.
Oh, no, this is out of character. Out of character. Harmon is illiterate, so it doesn't matter. I assume you would make that play. I'm just wondering from an out of character, did it say alive or dead?
Now I have to come up with motivations for this.
I just know
Obviously, the anti-slavers want to put him on trial for his quote crimes.
Well, no, because you usually carry sacks around with you if you're a bounty hunter, because a lot of people don't care if they're alive or dead. So all you have to do is come back with the head and prove it's them. So I'm just wondering if it's actually alive or dead.
If they want to put him on trial, I assume they want him back alive. But that also means that that doesn't mean that he has to come back in one piece. I mean, you could literally just take a gun and point it to his kneecap and then blow his leg off or blow his knee off.
I will point out there were certain popes who were put on trial after their death, with the corpse brought up to testify.
Yeah, but that just that raises the question of whether they want to pin guilt on somebody or if they want to actually find out who's guilty. That's that's 2 different measures there.
Still, let's take our votes. Nifiru, what is your vote? Free him or get the bounty?
I say we get the bounty.
It's 1 for bounty. Harmon, your
So-
vote is definitely for the bounty.
Again, just called us cowards, said we wouldn't do it, and you're like, alright. Call the vote.
But you're definitely for the bounty, right?
Yes, I'm for the bounty.
Max, what about you?
I'm not sure. I'm torn between the two.
Well, my vote is definitely to free him for the information. What about you, Cunibald?
I think I've made my position entirely clear.
I mean, for the
Free
sake
him.
of the vote. Free him?
All right, for the sake of the vote, free him for the information.
And that leaves the deciding vote down to you, Max.
No.
Pressure.
And so torturing him is off the table?
No.
I don't think it will go anywhere.
I say from the ground with a long sword to his neck, no. Not off the table.
So, if the goal is to get paid so we can get our monies back, then we're taking a risk here that if we free him, he's not actually going to tell us pertinent information. But if we take him in, the bounty is what, 10 dinar?
Yeah, I might have misread that. It might be a little bit higher. I don't remember offhand. I'll have to grab the bounty on our way through.
Or, we just drag him to wherever his master is, under threat of execution, and we killed them both. Sorry, I didn't mean the word kill, I mean...
What kind of game are you playing at? Alright, well, we know what the bloodthirsty one thinks.
No,
But
it's not
it's my
bloodthirsty.
opinion.
Maximizing
perhaps
profits.
You're literally making me choose between my own greed and my own vanity.
If it helps, perhaps there's even more greed on the side of freeing him, because the warlock is perhaps very wealthy, and might allow us to leave immediately with additional money in pocket.
Minus 10 for, not turning in the slaver.
Well, mine is 10, but I'm sure that hardly matters.
Minus 10, give or take whatever you could not remember.
Hey, Doc,
Yes?
can you staunch a a really bad bleeding wound?
Caesar just kind of like puts his wing up to his beak and just kind of strokes a little bit. Well, I suppose that I could, but why would you want to do that? I don't think any of us are bleeding right now.
Gunshot!
No!
I think we should free him, but I also think we should shoot him in the leg first. Give him a nice, long-lasting injury.
I should note I would require a few hours of surgery
Or we could just hamstring him.
and continue to monitor his bed rest.
Hamstring him on one leg.
I
But I
agree with
suppose
that.
if such is your will, and such is the majority, then there's not much I can do to stop you from doing so.
I still think we should confirm information before seriously injuring this man.
Seriously injuring a slaver? Like, you have moral
Well,
problems with that?
The problem here is that the slaver part isn't the actual problem, since slavery is legal. It's the fact he's a kidnapper is the problem.
He's an asshole.
I'm just saying, being permanently crippled might. Well, I don't think I would be particularly inclined to tell the truth if I had been permanently crippled by somebody.
Which is why I say we take him with us to the scene of his master.
Yes, this makes perfect sense, Harmon.
Right, which is why
Sounds good
I
to
said
me.
not to let him go.
Or he could just tell us now if he doesn't want to have a lasting crippling injury for the rest of his life.
Again, you're saying over my shoulder where my longsword to his neck.
Well, death is permanent. I'm thinking more just a gunshot to his kneecap.
Out of character, is that permanent in this universe?
Yeah, well, I mean, unless you have a really high level necromancer or I'm going to say white mage, cleric of the white path, rather. Because a Lazarus heart could bring you back, and...
Mechanically, there's not really much difference between different injuries. Nothing that's specifically permanent mechanically.
Oh, I thought you
That's
meant death.
just narrative. Yeah, death is something else.
There's two ways to get past death, and they're not very good.
Pretty sure being shot in the kneecap with a 50 caliber gun in the Renaissance era would be very painful and unpleasant.
Well, I mean, it could be particularly lethal, too.
Mm-hmm.
So, are you of the final opinion then of, regardless of whatever torture you intend on implementing him, of letting him free?
Yep.
Then, Mr. Tiger, I don't actually remember your name, sorry about that, but, well, can you tell us the name of who wished to purchase this man?
The only name I got was Recondite.
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 Right, now we take him with us to confirm that before letting him go, correct?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I don't know who is talking next.
Okay, well, where would we find Recondite?
She said she went back to Triskelion to arrange sufficient funds for the purchase.
Well, we at least have a name.
And I suppose he's done his part now.
Wouldn't it just be easier now than to go right back to his camp and wait for Recondite to show back up?
That's also true.
That way we don't have to trail them down or anything, they'll come right to us.
Fair
I
point.
should mention, perhaps, that food does cost money, and we are rather low on that.
They had
Or I
a
am,
whole
anyway.
slave camp. They were feeding themselves somehow.
Yeah, the place has kind of gotten looted since he told everyone to scatter.
Point number 2. We are in the middle of a woods, which presumably has some kind of game to be hunted. Any of us are in any way experienced in that direction?
I'm an herbivore. Food is literally everywhere.
Yes, an omnivore. It's not exactly like food's hard to come by.
Literally grows on the ground.
Well,
Would
I
not
will
be
give
the
you
first time
this.
I've been forced to live by means, but it's not exactly the best. So before we reveal more of our plans in front of him, are we going to let him go?
I say not until his information is confirmed.
Same.
I
So then we are walking back to the camp. Oh dear.
Well, not unless you want to take a flight back to Australia to pick up some food and meet us back here again.
I'm afraid my wall doesn't go that deep. I'll be scrounging for berries soon.
So be it.
Forge is the standard of a military man.
Well, if we're in the forest, which is my home habitat, I can road it using my, is it mind and species die to give me at least one success. Which means I've found food enough for me, but it takes like 4 hours.
What would it be to go hunting?
You guys know the system better than I do.
Well, the survival gift lets you forage for food and shelter with an additional D12, but I'm not sure what the exact skill would be for it. So I have not opened up new books. I ought to.
Well, I clicked on the wrong book. I've now opened up the Book of Mysteries. It's a mystery to me.
Well, the Pharaoh does
You're
have
gonna find
survivor
it.
and the pet to help her, so
In the wilderness, you can forage for food. Use the body, mind, and endurance dice versus the difficulty of the climate. So, yeah, body, mind, endurance. And if you have forest as your home biome, then it's your species dice as well.
And to that, I also have survival, so I would also have 4 dice, despite not having forest.
So yeah, we'll be fine.
If you can
At
call
least 3 of us have
only
4
eating
dice.
roots fine, I suppose.
We do what we must.
I'm gonna rote, so
Yeah, I'm gonna rotate 2 and just take 2 success.
All right, so that's how many people can 2 people roading support?
depends on the number of successes. If you gain 1 success, that's enough food for you, and if every additional success beyond that is food for another person.
All right, so 2 of you roading for 2 is enough to feed 4 people.
Well, no, if they're roading 1 apiece.
Isn't it half the number of dice, or is that Myriad Song?
Well,
It's the same. So if you have a dice pool of 4, that means you can rote for 2 successes.
oh, I thought you said you only had 2 dice, Liz. That's why
I only have 2 dice, so I will only get food for me.
But I have 4 dice.
And I have 4 dice.
So with
Our
your
staffing
powers combined,
combined.
And I have 3 successes.
Oh, or that.
There we go, so you handle yourself.
And then some, because why not?
Just save it up for the next day.
it's a lush forest. There's food.
All right. So, it's going to be maybe 4 days. Want to handle that?
4 days of sloughing it, I can handle that with just more rotes.
Me too.
yeah, I'm gonna roll the rest of my days because I got 3 dice.
The only question is, for each of the 4 days, who taps my food? Otherwise, I'm saving an extra day of food.
I can feed myself. No worries there.
How was Kemp getting by?
Just saying, I'm another one of the 4 dice who can rotate.
Okay, so
mean,
every
plenty of-
day
So
you got
anybody
like 2 successes.
Is anyone feeding the prisoner?
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah, why not?
Good point.
And
Then
of
I
course,
suppose
the
I'll
guards.
take.
Sorry, I should say both prisoners.
Yes, that's what I was about to mention.
I will feed the patient then, and that will be the other success out of my pool then.
I shall feed the prisoner then.
I say I'm pretty sure our guys here are what, carnivores? So I can't feed them.
I'm an omnivore, so I can.
Me too.
I don't know, so I'll help them be fed.
And I guess this is 4 days of treating the patient and seeing how he recovers as well.
Alright.
And I guess just to clarify, what was he again? A tiger or a fox or?
Great Fox.
Well, the
So,
slaver is a tiger.
The slaver's a tiger. The prisoner was a fox.
Okay.
And he's
So
not going
4
to
days
get...
of treating the fox.
Oh, I didn't know the fox was hurt.
Well, he's kind of mentally injured right now, I think.
Well, now you're a psychologist.
I'm a man of many wisdom.
Seemed his brain was scattered by dark.
But yeah, suppose that's the question. Anything I can do to help him?
Let's see. What is your arcana? Or sorry,
Academics.
academics, yeah.
I do have a 2d8 in the skill.
What about supernatural? Would that help?
It is also 2d8.
Sure.
Because that's closer to Arcana than, academics.
Yeah, stack academics and supernatural.
Remember, though, the rule of thumb is that the more skills you add, the more difficult the roll becomes.
And I suppose mind as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Mind, academics, and supernatural. 4. Looks nice.
All right. So, given the particulars of his ravings, when you get him to talk, something about visions of the family's misdeeds. Although it's difficult to decipher much more than that.
Right. He'll need to be a little more coherent first. But I suppose then it's 4 days of just kind of keeping him comfortable and hoping that he gets better here.
Yeah.
Little bit simpler.
Whoa.
I guess he's not escaping.
Jeez.
Of course, at the same time, being hogtied, I don't even know how you get yourself out of that scenario.
This is strength versus the difficulty of 2d12.
What, just like to rip the ropes?
That's what I'm figuring.
So not very likely.
Well, at the very least, that 1d12 with a 10 is in the middle of a pair of threes, which means it has to be either one of the difficulty checks. So I feel confident now. Because it would be a real tricksy move to say, oh no, he rolled one difficulty check, then his check, and then the second difficulty check.
I suppose, too, you all might want to set on what kind of ambush you're going to do.
We don't have to ambush, they don't know us. For all I know, we're just another slaver. We're in the camp, after all.
Well, if that's the end of your strategy, then I suppose you can go ahead and do that.
I have
Well-
no deceit, no ability to hide. Literally,
I have
it is
deceit.
my only strategy. Well, I was saying I have no ability to hide either. I'm gonna be found if you wanted me to. Why is that giant in the most expensive armor in the world hidden behind that tree?
So who here is competent enough at stealth to act as lookout effectively? I've got a little bit of stealth, but not exactly very much perceptive abilities.
I have for stealth D8, D8 plus D4. Observation is D6, D4.
I have no stealth, but I do have a bonus D8 observation from my pet.
None of these things.
I also can lie. Not very well, D6, D6, but I can do it.
You don't do a lot of stealthing up at the front lines. I don't need to observe a lot of stuff. Again, at the front lines.
Well, I can act as a scout. Can probably be hidden too.
Perfect. Do it, Fox. We could use a little bit of a head.
So am I just gonna hide and then if I see her coming, like do something, or
Yes, fire a flare.
I could fire a gun, but
Yes, that won't
Yeah.
scare her off.
exactly.
I honestly don't know why we need a scout.
It'd be nice
Well-
to have a little bit of a head start if this comes to if the warlock decides to bring an army instead of a
I'm a pretty good sniper. I can try that if push comes to shove.
I suppose one thing to remember would be that the cliff above the camp is rather extreme range. I tried it once, it did not work out for me.
So it's extreme range.
It was a 2d12 penalty.
So the sharpshooter gift would reduce that down to 1d12.
Right. By 1 degree, which is, yes, 1d12.
That is a dilly of a pickle.
Well, I mean, if you were hidden out in the trees, I guess that would be some reduced range. I guess depending on how far away the trees are from the camp.
Yeah, I could always hide in a tree.
Or in the camp. In fact, if you're already in the camp, why hide? Just be there.
Yeah, is there like a is there a tree or something like that that's fairly close that I could hide in that wouldn't give me too much of a range penalty?
They did a decent job of clearing out the things that could possibly be used against them around their camp.
To be fair, we got 4 days. Why don't I just pull a
Yeah.
bush out and put it in the middle of the camp? We're trying to spruce the place up. How do you like our shrubbery?
No, Tish.
Well, it's a little hard finding a spruce, but now, do you want to just throw something around, or do you want to have your earth mage try and do something fancy?
Well, he already did make a wall. You could just hide behind the wall that he already made.
Do you want me to foxhole for you?
I'm
Listen
sorry,
here,
is
you-
there a tiny little white dog with a droopy face around here?
No, you listen here. No. Wherever you want to get, if we can, yeah, make me in a little concealed dugout or something, I'd be fine with that.
Okay. I'm gonna do a couple move earths to build a little concealable dugout for our lookout.
All right. And I'm before we get into modifying the map, trying to correct the scale issues from last time. So we're going to have to redraw everything.
Which map are we on? Or are you just redrawing one? Oh, never mind. We're still on the main one. Okay. Sorry, for some reason when you change maps, I have to follow you up on my own map.
Ugh.
No, because we're both considered GMs, so his changes don't affect me. So when he says map, I jump to the top of the screen to look at the map to see which map we're on.
All right.
But yeah, I believe it was what, 1-for-1 set to meter, and we just had to make sure that each token was 1 meter across. That's the normal.
Well, when I do that, I set 1 unit to 1, but it doesn't change everything that we've already drawn,
No, it's not going to.
which means we have to redraw everything at the new scale.
You think you can stretch? Also, hold on a sec. I could do this.
Honestly, the shape of the canyon is just completely wild, and the tents are just random too. So.
All right, hold on a sec. I'm gonna try and help you out. What size width did you want the canyons to be in meters?
Well, I was just gonna throw like a scale factor of like 4 on what we already have.
Right, but we all have different, wildly different movements, so that could really screw people up. But no, I'm saying you could just do something like that. Move this over here. Take this one. Oh, shit. It's really hard to grab thin lines.
I gotta preserve the delicate shape of those canyon walls there.
I think you must have drawn that one on the background. But anyway, hold on. Let's take a quick measure. That's 24 meters across. You're looking for bigger or smaller?
Let's make it maybe 50 meters across.
50, you say?
Yeah.
Double it up.
Sorry, give me a second. I'm having a hard time grabbing this one line. I don't know why. I can select it, I just can't seem to grab it.
Technical difficulties. Please wait. Please stand by.
Alright, I'll move you over here. And yeah, I would say it's important to keep the scale of the canyon only because this is the canyon we've used already. So we know what the outline of the canyon is. Right there. I honestly don't know why it won't let me grab it sometimes. Yeah, I hope you have that on repeat. Alright, give me a hand here, Rack. Can you grab that line that's off to the right and drag it over? I don't really have enough time here. once it's in place, I can expand it real easy. Everything.
All right, which line?
The one off to the right. I don't know why, I just can't seem to grab it. Yeah, no, don't resize it. Alright, here. Give me a second. I'm gonna find my own way around this. Yeah, that didn't work for you. Alright, you curved out like this, you did a little thing here, and then... Okay. Wrong color. Used some sort of brown. Alright. Close enough, whatever.
At least this is a little better than everyone having a 5-meter reach on them.
Indeed.
Of course, the tokens are on the same layer as the drawing. Drag you guys out and move you away from here.
Away from the madness.
So yeah, if anyone wants to take a break, this may take a little while.
Oh no, it's only going to be another 3 minutes. Measure the width there, Rack. Tell me what it is.
Uh,
Rest assured, I will cut this out of the actual recording.
I might be on the wrong layer because I'm not selecting them.
No, I said just tell me what the width is. Just grab the ruler.
Where's the ruler?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down. Mouse over it, it'll give you the options.
Snap to center.
Just take the no snapping, and that should just give you the ruler. Alright, another 10 meters then. How about now? What are we at?
Sure.
Just a little bit more. That should be good. Let me drag this back over. Leave a little edge on the cliff space. I think you drew some of these actually on the background.
I don't have access to the background, but maybe they got moved there at some point.
What are you talking about?
The squares.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, they all should have been. I just think some of them actually got moved, or you may have changed the drawing when you were doing it. Oh, you drew them. Right. Nope, they're not on the background. They're not on the GM layer. Hold on, let me try moving this to the back.
Now might be the time to just reinstitute the grid and draw the squares again.
No! You reinstitute the grid, you'll fuck everything up. Griff, it'll be 2 minutes. 2 minutes!
Madness.
Damn it! You know what? There's just a bunch of weird squares all over the map. Just deal with it, alright? I think we're good. And here we are. I guess. Wait, why aren't you guys drawing the mound that you're making while you're doing this? While we're waiting?
That might be a good idea for them.
Well, the fact that everybody else went quiet all of a sudden makes me wonder if they're here.
I'm here. I'm just watching.
Same.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, this is it. So you guys can start talking again.
All right. So, do we have what kind of modifications are you making to the canyon, Kempf? You're the engineer. Take the lead.
Give me a second. Let me find a scale at which I can see. Make this map in any way look. Okay.
Yeah, that, by the way, is the rim of the canyon. It's like slope all the way to the center. So,
Okay.
so the closer you are to the line, the higher you are.
So I'm kind of on like a little bit down from a ridge, but just kind of like a divot of earth.
Oh, there are itty bitty icons on this too.
Yes, those squares are throwing everything off.
What squares?
No, it's just an accurate scale makes everything look incredibly tiny compared to this canyon.
Yeah, because the canyon is huge, apparently. But now we actually move in the right way. Oh, except for the fact that the tokens are still the wrong size. Hold on.
Oh, are the tokens the wrong size?
Well, no, they're not the wrong size. They're relatively right. Just I had measured all the other tokens on the other map. So let me just grab everybody from there. And I'm going to bring them over. There we go. Slightly different, but not appreciatively so. So there you go.
Yay.
Okay.
That's an actual giant, which is weird because I'm also a giant. Yeah, because the general rule on the maps is that your token is probably going to be about a meter across. Only so much so that if you move a meter forwards, your token should pass over itself exactly once. It's a more helpful rule if you have circular tokens, but should work the same with square ones.
Mhm.
All right. So, how are you guys Who do you have looking out?
That would be the fox and the little squiggly drawing over here.
And where are the rest of you guys set up?
I guess perhaps just inside a tent with the patient, waiting for whenever this happens.
Tempted to say, sitting on top of the mountain that Max is in.
Sniper, no sniping. Sniper, no sniping.
And at least some of these boxes are supposed to be like buildings, more or less.
They're tents, I believe.
I thought one or two of them were like.
I mean, it's a
Like, I thought
forest.
the
They've
ones-
got logs.
I thought the ones that held like the large ones that held the prisoners were more permanent uh, structures. So I figured one of those permanent structures would make sense as a base of operation.
Well, I mean, also the concern here is that if she shows up and thinks no one is around, she's not going to hang around.
Fair enough. So let's just make sure that there are tents set up everywhere.
Well, no, I mean more so that people need to be around.
So fair enough. Let's set up a couple of campfires with at least one prominently visible from the entrance, which has actual people in front of it.
Right, maybe let's move the slaver somewhere where he's not eminently visible.
Where do you want him?
In a cage.
To be fair, we do have plenty of those.
Yes, one in the
Yep.
back. So he can't see this person coming and shout warnings at her or whatever.
All right.
Now we see what our preparations reap.
So give me a perception and willpower. People on lookout.
Okay, one sec. One success.
So, the one you eventually spot some people coming up the canyon. They don't look like casters.
Okay.
Um, how many of them are there?
Um, call them about a dozen or so.
Ruh-roh. Well, I will, I guess I have a couple sticks that I'll bang together or something.
They sounded the alarm!
There, I hope that it helps the map a little bit.
Looks like you have two overlapping.
So what?
I'm talking to Rakdos there. Two of his minions are overlapping.
Found it. All right, so these guys are also dressed like mercenaries.
I shall call up. I shall
Now
call
with
up.
with
Sorry.
the observation that I did, can I see if they're wearing leather armor? Are they wearing chainmail?
We'll say leather.
Okay, so low rent mercenaries.
Fairly well worn leather, so
Well, I think it's time to call up to these strangers and find out what they're doing here.
Alright, I guess I'll get up from the fire. Put my, assuming I have them, thumbs into my belt. And, like, stand in front of the fire and watch them. In that way, a disinterested car dealership salesman might.
are you the ones who knocked over this camp?
Yes?
Well, not the answer I was going to give, but go ahead. I like to see where
Well,
this
yes.
is going to go.
We were the ones who took down the force here at the camp.
My employer takes issue with your interference.
Which employer might that be?
I can never remember these names.
Well, upon hearing this, Niffer is going to step out of the tent she's in and start heading towards Harmon.
Is that Recondite the Warlock?
Indeed it is.
Da-da-da-da!
By the way, who said that? That sounded like a voice coming from the mound.
No, I was just... That's out of character.
Well,
That was a reminder to the GM.
Tell your employer. This need not change anything. Merely changes who your employer will be paying.
I think Harmon's standing off the side wagging a finger. Oh, I see what we're doing now.
Well, yes, she's going to be paying us now.
But there are merely 12 of you. Why, we took down far more taking down this camp with barely a scratch. And you don't even have a monstrous tiger amongst you. Are you sure? Do you need to come back with 2 or 3 times this number?
We'll see what we can do. Yeah. On second thought, I think they should be chainmail guys. So,
Oh man. Elites.
They're gonna need it.
Does Kemp want to rephrase any of the things he said? Now that they've suddenly shape changed to the chainmail?